This is Lucia Martinez from the KUNM Youth Radio Project. Today I am here with Senator Gerald Ortiz y Pino, and this is a really great honor for me. Thank you for speaking with us.
Oh, I'm always delighted to speak with Youth Radio. Thanks, Lucia, for doing this.
So I think to start off, what would you say the status of our state is as a whole right now?
Well, you know, the governor in her State of the State speech went to great lengths to paint it as being in terrible shape. I don't see it that way at all, especially when you compare us to Texas, where they have billions of dollars of deficit, Arizona, where they've slashed services, cut schools, cut Medicaid. We've chosen a different course in New Mexico. We now have a much smaller deficit than we did 3 years ago, a smaller deficit than last year's. We have reserves of 5%. Last year we had 0. And we don't have to come up with an emergency appropriation to get through the current year. It's not like by cutting the public sector you help the private sector. In my view, cutting the public sector hurts the private sector. And so we don't need to do what she's suggesting because we're not in that bad a shape. Are we all the way out? No, we have about a $250 million deficit. And I think we can do that by plugging some loopholes, not by passing new taxes, but by plugging loopholes in our existing tax laws.
So that's the official number, 250 million?
Yeah, there's a whole big thing where she says, oh, it's really almost 500 million, almost a $500 million. That's if the actions we took last year aren't made permanent. And I think we're all prepared to make them permanent, or at least for another few years until we get out of this trough. Those include things like not increasing government salaries. I don't think anybody's arguing that we can afford to do that this year. So that then reduces the deficit. But the real number is something around 250 million. Keep in mind this is a projection because it's for the year that starts July 1. Who knows what tax revenues are going to be then? If the economy bounces back, we may not have that big a deficit.
So what do you anticipate for the rest of this legislative session?
Well, it is going to be a struggle because the governor has mentioned a whole bunch of issues that she wants the legislature to enact. She wants us to go back on our repeal of the death penalty. She wants us to take away driver's licenses from undocumented residents of the state. She wants us to toughen penalties for a whole series of crimes. All of those things are going to meet with a great deal of resistance. That's going to set up a struggle. And the struggle is going to be what most of this session is about. She's coming in with what she views as a great mandate from the voters. She did win by a large margin. But when people look at each one of her proposals individually, I think she's going to find that there's not that widespread support. We just did away with the death penalty. Why would we want to go back on that? That's a very expensive thing to reinstitute. Now's not the time to do it. I think we need to give ourselves a few years at least under this approach to see if it works.
Thank you.